Nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks. Good morning. There's actually a little bit of a tail there that goes there. Good morning, folks. Joe Mangiacotti, and welcome to the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Cam is flying the board at main headquarters here, broadcasting from a remote location, but everything works the same. To join the conversation, of course, it's 508-871-7000. 508-871-7000 is how you do that. Our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388, or you have the option of emailing textjoeintheradio@gmail.com. It appears in the same screen in real time. Easy way to do it. Don't forget, if you want to reach out to the show, that textjoeintheradio@gmail.com, that's just during the airtime. That's it. If you're reaching the show, there is a show email. And we kept it simple, folks, joemshow@gmail.com. A lot of you use the Messenger app on Facebook, perfectly fine. You can send links, you can send pictures, documents, and most of you figured that out, so it works out well. We're also live streaming on my social media platforms, so that would be Facebook and Twitter at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show, LinkedIn page, YouTube channel, and Twitch TV for some reason, and that's Joe M Show at Twitch TV. All right, don't forget we're live streaming on the TuneIn app. You can take us anywhere. Just punch in WCRN, and we're live streaming. Hit that like button for me so that we know you're there, and it helps you find it real easy as well. And you can even tell Alexa to play WCRN. She'll do it, no questions asked. Also, the shows are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Tuned In. Any place you get podcasts, we're probably on there if you want to do it. Or just go to tjmshow.com and see the post of the podcast. In SoundCloud actually libraries all of our past shows as well. All right. It's a lot to talk about. Obviously, there always is a lot to talk about every week, right? It's not like we lack material. The question always becomes, what are we going to talk about first, or what can we fit in this case, on an hour on a Sunday morning? Obviously, we need to talk a little bit about the renewed argument or the renewed push for gun control in the United States. Now, this is something that always happens after every shooting. And the problem here, folks, is I think a lot of people think that a mass shooting is only when it makes all these big headlines. But the definition of a mass shooting is 4 people or more shot in one incident. And to that note, there are hundreds of mass shootings that take place here every year. But most of them or majority, I mean, we're talking 90% plus, happen in big cities every weekend. But the media doesn't classify them. Oh, another mass shooting. You know, when you get 14 or 18 people shot in Detroit in one weekend and 7, 8, 9, 10 people die from those shots, it's on the news. It makes it there. It's somewhere. But nowhere near the coverage that Buffalo got, or Texas got, or Florida got, Parkland. But of course, we're talking about school shootings, and that does change things on some fronts. But the people who come out and want to talk about gun control, they're a broken record, and they're a one-issue argument. That's it. Their only solution when they come to the table is control the guns. Actually, what they're really saying is take the guns away. Take the guns away. Now, I've tried to point this out over and over again, and I know the majority of you listening are intelligent enough to get this. What I don't understand is how people who don't understand this simple point. There are 300 million plus people in the United States, and there are 400 plus million guns, actual guns, and over 2 billion rounds. Plus, it's a constitutional right. Let's not forget that little thing. Now, I know a lot of people like to look at the Constitution as a living thing and not absolute when it can, when it works for them. But those tend to be the same people who want to have gun control, but when it comes to abortion, they tell you, oh, that's settled law. And now they flip out over a leaked draft from February, which means nothing. When this came out, I tried to point this out. It's a draft. It's a doodling from a justice. It isn't signed off by other justices. It isn't the official opinion, but it was meant to do other things. I'm more concerned with who leaked it, because they leaked it with very specific intentions and hoping for very specific reactions, very specific results of that. Focus your attention on that, but I digress. Back to the issue of the gun control. So the trying to say about the taking guns away, you can't do that. First, because of the Second Amendment, and just logistically, it's impossible. You're going to hire what? How many agents, from AFT agents, to go pick up guns? See, one of the roles of an AFT agent, by the way, is when you make this background check, and it's a 3-day period and so forth. Sometimes what happens is that the waiting period goes by, the person's allowed to purchase the gun. But then something comes back, or they discover something and they say, actually, no, this guy or woman should not have a gun. This is not a comfortable, no. Based on this, whatever they find, we're revoking that. And part of an AFT agent's role is to go out and get the gun back. So they actually, going to knock on your door with a warrant. They're not just arbitrarily showing up, say, hey, give me the gun. They have the warrant that allows them to confiscate the weapon. It's perfectly legal. Of course, you usually get some kind of pushback, right? So it would be probably one of the more dangerous activities an AFT agent might do on a daily basis. But there is a mechanism in place for that. But when you try to debate the issue of gun violence, and all the other side of the table is the guns, take the guns, take the guns. Stop the conversation right in the tracks, will you? Because it actually, it means nothing. You see what I'm saying? It means nothing at that point, because that's all they're focused on. That's all they're focused on is that. Meanwhile, I really don't want to hear about imposing any more laws on law-abiding citizens who are, depending on the state, they are duly licensed, and they went through whatever training courses that maybe the chief, because the local authority is the chief who issues it. And they say, all right, we'll give you that, but you got to go take this NRA approved course usually. Or maybe the police department puts it on. I don't care. The point is they require the course, and not only do I agree with that, I encourage it, and I think that should be required. But the point is, you get the gun license if you're in a state that has one. You pass the background check, and there's some kind of misunderstanding that there's no, there are some places you can go without a background check. And the left likes to spin this tale that when you go to these gun shows, and we have them in Massachusetts, folks, right? I've gone to the one that they have up here at Route 20 in Marlboro at the convention center up there. It's like a knife and gun thing. Matter of fact, I bought a weapon at that thing one year. So they have this, they spin this misconception, this lie, that there are no background checks when they do these gun shows. And it's just wrong, folks. Every dealer knows that they have to do it. They have a computer right there. They are online. Then they run you through. Sometimes you get there and you pick it out and you buy it, and you can't get it right away. You got to go take a walk around and come pick it up in an hour or two after you're cleared. So that's just an asinine approach to take it. And to be doing that when there are 17 or 18 people shot in Chicago, Detroit, New York, LA every weekend, and you're not doing anything about that. And that's a couple things. You have these do-nothing prosecutors like Cascone, It's over 500,000 signatures right now to recall this guy. That's more signatures than ever collected by any recall in California before. So if you in these cities, and here's the quagmire that we're in, folks. And again, if we didn't have the contradictions of what the left's arguments always are, well, we'd just be a whole lot better. We got to have gun control. We got to have gun control. We got to have these strict laws. And they seem to want to place them mainly in the rural areas to the people who pretty much grew up with guns, absolutely practice gun safety, know how to handle a weapon, but they don't want to prosecute the gun violations in the inner city because they feel that if they started doing that, the majority of those charged would be minorities. And therefore, statistically, it would look like they're being targeted or they're the most. But they're not being targeted. They're in the inner cities, they're creating or they're committing the crime. So you see the duplicity here is that they want all this stuff, gun control on the books, but then they don't want to actually charge and prosecute them in the inner cities, which makes it moot.
1 minute.
So what are you going to do there? How are you going to handle this? That's a big problem that we have. All right, folks, we're going to have to take a break in a second. I know we have phone calls, so I say to the phone call, hold on the line, just stick with me through the break, and we'll pick you up on the other side. No problem there. And then we'll come back and continue on. 508-871-7000. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and this is the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Back in a moment.
Dr. Satya Mitra has journeyed from a childhood of poverty and homelessness to a successful career as a financial advisor, motivational speaker, and community leader. Now inspired by his guru, he uses his experiences to positively affect the lives of underprivileged people. We strive to house our blindness, poverty, homelessness, female empowerment, and good citizenship initiatives within the Joy Guru Humanitarian Center. If you wish to contribute or know of deserving persons or initiatives that could use our assistance, please contact us at 508-641-8441.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 12/31/17.
Girton Graphics, offering a full line of apparel, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, golf shirts, caps, jackets, and other wearables to be screen printed with your organization's message, always at low wholesale prices. Girton Graphics also offers over 500,000 promotional items that can be customized to fit your needs. Working with Girton Graphics is always economical and hassle-free.
You can design your own custom t-shirt online at GirtonGraphics.com. Choose your own logo. The art department will help you with your next custom t-shirt project. It's great for your school, university, your business group. Girton Graphics, downtown Worcester, home of the $5 custom printed t-shirt.
Visit us on the web at GirtonGraphics.com or stop by our location on Southbridge Street right next to Coney Island. Girton Graphics' expert design team is ready to serve your business's needs. Girton Graphics, still the one making businesses happy for over 40 years.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to Joe.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here at AM 830 WCRN. Don't forget, you can join the conversation at any time at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Text line 617-297-8388. All right, let me go to the phones. Mark in Worcester's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Mark. You look marvelous.
You look marvelous as well.
What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm getting a feedback.
Okay. Let's see what we can try to fix it and ignore it if you can while we try to do that.
Anyways, I guess licenses to illegal aliens is a done deal.
In Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Oh God, yeah.
And Holden Healy is now the official nominee on the Democratic side for governor of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the guns go, this is a process. And the process is beginning with the elimination of semi-automatics. That's the initial part of the process. Now, they're going to attempt to eliminate or neutralize posse comitatus, which is whereby the military can enforce civil law. Posse comitatus. They want to eliminate that so that the National Guard can pick up all semi-automatic.
Yeah.
After they've been deemed illegal.
Yep.
So you eliminate posse comitatus, then the National Guard can pick up the guns at your house because they know who legally owns the gun. They have all the
because
records.
it's all registered. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the end game.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now the thing about this,
So
Mark,
I'll end with this. You're gonna, once he becomes governor, you're gonna see stuff go down in this state that you would never think possible.
yeah, I get it. I get it. I agree. And part of that is why I talked so much in the last couple of weeks about this UN World Health Organization thing, right? And you're going to see us give our sovereignty over to the UN. And I was not being facetious when I said that could result in armored vehicles with soldiers in blue UN armbands around their arm, driving down American streets. You know, America has 20 million AR-15 style rifles in circulation, 20 million. And 10 years ago, there might have been 500,000. I mean, it's just every time the left talks about confiscating guns, gun sales go through the roof. Barack Obama did more for gun sales than any marketing of Smith & Wesson or Ruger could have done. And Biden's doing the same thing. And you know what the fastest growing demographic of gun purchases are in the United States today? Black women. That is the largest demographic of purchasing guns today are black females. There are about, well, just shy of 400 million, like 393 million guns owned in the U.S. by civilians. That's more than the American population. And for some reason, they attacked the AR-15. And the AR-15, and I've said this before, guys, it's a cool-looking gun. I get it. And it's an intimidating-looking gun. And it looks a lot like the AK-47. But it's not a powerful gun. And it can't fire any faster than any other semi-automatic. And that just simply means every time you pull the trigger, it ejects the shell casing and it slides around into the chamber. That's it. That's a semi-automatic. And we don't have, as course, right? We outlawed fully automatic i.e. machine guns, Tommy guns, a very long time ago. So an AR-15, is not an extremely powerful weapon. As a matter of fact, there are several states who don't even classify that to be used to kill deer because it's not that powerful. And if you are hunting and you're a hunter and you hunt and you kill and you eat your prey, no problem. That is the most basic of human behavior on the planet, going back millions of years, right? Hunt your prey, you eat your prey. But the Parks Department, the state governments, right, that issue the licenses for hunting, also don't want you hunting with something that is only going to maim or hurt the animal, because that's cruel. If you're going to hunt, you need to kill the animal, dress it in the field, take it home. And most hunters actually, there's too much meat that they end up sharing it with friends and so forth. But the AR style weapon is a 5.56, which is equivalent to about a 22. It's not something that's going to blow through engines and bulletproof vests and things of that nature. But they've spun it this way. And then you hear when these politicians start talking about it, you realize right away they have no freaking clue what they're even talking about. They don't understand a round versus a clip versus a magazine. They don't understand the rate of fire. They don't understand the terminology, because we know this because they're constantly saying assault weapon, but nobody asked them in the media, excuse me, congressperson, excuse me, senator, excuse me, Mr. President, could you please define an assault weapon? What exactly is it in your mind that you're thinking that is? Dollars to donuts. And I'll make a gentleman's bet with you right here. They're not going to be able to define it. They'll stumble around trying to sound like they know what they're talking about, but they can't. So there was around 19.8 million AR-15 style rifles in circulation in the U.S., and then a nationwide tally that surged from 8.5 million since the federal assault weapons ban expired in 2004. And that's the other thing. The president came out the other night, right, on his way to a vacation at his Rehoboth beach home. That's okay. The ship is sinking. The world's on fire, but I got to go to Rehoboth. That's a whole nother conversation about spending every weekend there. But he comes out and he makes these statements, and he gets tons of Pinocchios and people saying, wait, hold back. What are you talking about? For one thing, he puts out stats about the assault weapons ban in 1994 that he was so proud of and he likes to talk about all the time. But he was absolutely full of it when he said that the stats showed the decrease and so forth, because they didn't. There was no discernible difference of a drop when that gun ban went into effect. And you have to remember that the majority of murders in the United States are done with knives and fists, and often when they are with guns, they're self-inflicted. And again, they always concentrate on the wrong thing. You really don't come to the table with the debate until you've actually done something about all of the illegal gun firing, gun usage in major cities every single week. The weekends are crazy, right? That's when the shootings go up. And when we have, like Memorial Day weekend, when we have these holiday weekends, they skyrocket. But you've defunded the police and you've taken away or taken the funding away so that they can't have those specialty units like in New York City, the anti-crime unit, where those police officers actually knew the bad players and who had guns they shouldn't have had. And it's less than 1% of these fatal shootings that take place are done by legally owned, possessed guns. So why is it so hard to understand? If you want to fix the gun problem, enforce the laws that we already have. Because for one, it's already against the law to murder someone. So why aren't you rounding up these people who do these shootings every weekend, and murder, and often an innocent bystander? How many stories have you heard about a little boy or a little girl just in their yard, or worse, a baby, an infant, in their bedroom, and a rogue shot comes through the window or the wall? Start enforcing in Massachusetts the Fox-Bartlett bill that says no questions. You have a weapon on you, a gun on you that you're not licensed to carry. You're illegally carrying it. Mandatory year sentence in jail. If you would, and I know I'm going to get the constitutional rights and profiling and all that comes with it. But if you were to sweep some of these areas and find out how many guns are there, and you put everybody in jail that illegally had a gun, that might go some way to stopping people from carrying a gun. All right, we're going to take a quick break here halfway through the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. 508-871-7000 to stick with us. Mike Way joining us at 7 o'clock for Conservatively Speaking. We'll be back in a moment, folks.
You just may have the best podcast anywhere.
Blah, 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 blah.
But who knows it exists? Hello?
We just
Get
went
your
out
podcast to broadcast
29
on
instead
radio.
of 30.
Create a podcast. Improve your podcast sound with professional production and editing. Record your podcast in a real radio studio. Visit podcastorbroadcast.org today. Get your podcast on the radio with podcasttobroadcast.org.
Gordon Lightfoot, live, the legend in concert.
That's great. It should be out at 45. The music should start playing
October
at
19th at the
40.
Hanover Theater.
Correct.
A night of hit after hit after hit. Get tickets now at thehanovertheater.org or call 877-571-SHOW. Gordon Lightfoot, the legend in concert.
For a wedding, the most important thing is getting you to the church on time, so it makes sense to use the best. AA Transportation, the largest limousine service in central Massachusetts, specializing in world-class service with a personal touch. Drivers in formal attire provide detail-oriented service to make sure that every aspect of your wedding experience is perfect. AA Transportation is happy to work with your other wedding vendors, such as caterers and photographers,
All right, the computer
to get you the best results
should
and experience
be
possible,
doing it
with a
all by
variety of
itself.
sleek and
In other
comfortable
words,
limousines to choose
it
from.
should stop
AA
playing
can
the
transport
20-second
bridal parties from
outro
2 to
at
20,
44,
plus provide shuttle service for your
40 all by
guests.
itself.
For signature red carpet service, call AA Limousine in Shrewsbury, 508-791-9100, serving all of New England. AATransportation.com. Call 508-791-9100. Let's help make your wedding day special.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to Joe.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Here on AM 830 WCRN, I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. Don't forget, you can text us at 617-297-8388. Wow. All right, I want to shift some gears on the gun control. It seems like we go round and round and round on that all the time. And, what we're saying is first of all, enforce the laws that we have, prosecute the people who break them, stop with the political correctness on this, and leave the legally owning gun safety practice and NRA membership gun owners alone. They're not your problem. Lifting the shield, liability shield against manufacturers, asinine. No, that's not going to go through. It just makes no sense on any level. The thought process of how they get there is just amazing to me. I'd love to see the flow path, the flow chart of that thought process. Because if you get in a car accident, you're not suing the manufacturer of the car for it. It makes no sense when they do this stuff. Hey, before I move on, though, I wanted to remind and point out that yesterday, the 4th, was the anniversary of the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. Happened on June 4th, 1989. And I remember that. I was a fairly young guy at the time. And that image of that one student standing in front of that tank in defiance of the Communist Party cleaning out the Tiananmen Square, it was burned in my memory. You know, we juxtapose that to this last week, the last few days, the 70th, the Platinum Jubilee for Queen Elizabeth II, 70-year reign, longest reign of a British monarch ever. I think she's the third longest reigning monarch on the planet, but certainly the longest reigning monarch for the British House, the House of Windsor. So you have that monarch, that queen, that who quite honestly has no real power. She's pretty much a figurehead. It's Parliament and the Prime Minister. It was said the Queen would have to sign her own death warrant if Parliament voted on it. The one power she does have is officially appointing the Prime Minister, which of course makes no sense to appoint anybody other than whatever party is leading in the House of Commons. But you have this monarch, this woman who is the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth. It's 54 countries make up the British Commonwealth. She's in charge of 54 countries, and I think it's 2.6 billion people. It's about a third of the population of the planet comes under Queen Elizabeth. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, because here's a woman who has been exemplary in putting service first, unlike her grandson. And she's never voted, and she never talks politics. And she has dedicated her life as the monarchs before her. And she was 25 years old when she took the throne, or she got the news of her father's passing. And they used to say she's the queen who climbed a tree as a princess and descended as a queen. And what that means is, at the time she got the word, her and Philip were on a trip, and they were in Australia or New Zealand. I don't actually remember, one of the two, but they were staying in this treehouse. Nothing like you have in your backyard, folks, but it was a house built up among the trees, and they were actually staying there on this world tour thing they were doing. And that's how she got word that her father died, was they were staying there. So she was the monarch who climbed the tree as a princess and descended as a queen. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let's go to the phones. Ken in Bolton has been waiting. Hey, Ken, good morning. What's up? What are you thinking this morning?
Good morning, Joe, and hello again. Take it.
Do we have our Hall of Fame and Shame?
Are you there? I want to make sure you hear me.
Oh, yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay. I'm getting the feedback too, like Mark.
Yeah, I think what that does, can you work through it for now until we figure out how to fix that?
Yeah, actually, it's a little bit, but not as bad. But anyway, we'll move forward. So we got the Hall of Fame, Hall of Shame. Hall of Shame, the Sussman jury.
Thank you.
Because literally,
Yeah.
If that is what we have, juries for this nation, our future is short. But fortunately, it's DC, and it isn't.
Well, the problem there, Ken, right, is hey, Ken, the problem there is that the pool comes from that area, and you would think that, and I have no idea, and I've been trying to find out whether or not John Durham requested a change of venue, because that seems like a logical thing to do. But you're going to get in an area where, you know, it's 90-something% registered Democrats, and multiple people on the jury pool had a connection to Hillary Clinton in one way or another. They in 3 of them donated money to her campaign. You got one donating to AOC. You got the judge's daughter on the rowing or crew team or something with Sussman's daughter. It's just incestuous, and any one of those things in any other trial would have ejected that jurist out, and it didn't. And so this was, and you look at this. And by the way, if you want, and I think I posted it, I'll make sure I post it on my Facebook page. If you want to see the transcript, the Epoch Times published the transcript, so you can listen to the story and then you can actually read. And they copied the actual court documents of the transcript, and you can read it. And there is no question, beyond any reasonable doubt, that he was so full of it, and he lied to the FBI. And the problem here, and I pointed this out the other day, Ken, right, is he threw them under the bus. His defense was he didn't lie to the FBI, and even if he didn't tell them, or he told them that, the FBI knew that he was working for the Hillary Clinton campaign anyway. They knew it. Okay, if that's your defense, that means the FBI knew you were working for them, and they took this meeting, which they never should have taken. And if they did take it, why are they putting so much energy and money and man hours into political propaganda from an operative, from a political campaign? You can't have it both ways. So there's no question he's full of it. He lied through his teeth, and he was part of this massive conspiracy to take out a president, which is treason. Can't believe how horrible that was. And Ben Shapiro said, and I agree 100%, that all future trials connected to this should be held outside of the DC area, should be put out to another federal district court area, not one that's saturated with left and Hillary neophyte. They just can't do it. The sycophants. Just my.
Well, the one hopeful item, Joe, is that the jurist who made a fool of herself is or grist, I should say, for that argument by any defense.
Are you talking about the jurors who said, the one who went asked, can you be fair and impartial, said, I think I can, I'll try. I don't know, but I'll try. That one?
Oh, no. This is worse. This person literally said, what in the world was this being?
Oh, yeah. Why was this even
never
here?
Should have been the trial in the first place.
Yep.
This is meaningless.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if he lied to the FBI. Everybody does it. That's basically what they said.
Oh, except what happened to Roger Stone, right? What happened to anybody connected with Trump? Oh, I mean, they SWAT teams and handcuffs.
If a judge can't come to be honest and say, no, he can't have it here and send it somewhere else, then we got, there's going to be more of this. This is going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
But I don't think that's going to be the case. And on the flip side, the Hall of Fame, Peter Navarro.
Oh.
Standing up to the kangaroo court, as he called it, appropriately.
It is. And the way they treated this guy, right? I mean, I get it if you're under arrest and all this, but this is a political thing. This is all politics, all grandstanding. And the way they treated him and cuffed him and pulled him off the airplane and did all that. And these, just like Roger Stone or the other guy, if you really, you could literally just picked up the phone, called the guy's attorney, and say, "There's a, we have a warrant, or you got to come in and surrender." They would have done it like gentlemen. They really would have. They would have said, "Come down," and said, "Sure, I want my day in court." Because when you get your day in court, right, Ken, you get to ask the other side questions under oath. You got to be very careful about this when you sue, when you sign on to a class action, when you do anything. You always remember you're also putting yourself in the position to be cross-examined or deposed, and in both situations, you are swearing an oath under oath. You're there, so all the pains and penalties of committing perjury are in place. So remember that. So when you somebody like this, yeah, you know what? I want the day in court because I get to ask questions that have to be answered too, right? You've got the discovery and you've got the cross, and then you get to depose. Your lawyer gets to depose the other side. So a lot of these people can bring it on. Please bring it on, because.
But Joe, here's the thing: if he committed perjury, which is not what he's being charged with, he's being charged with not
showing
being
up,
complicit or testifying in front of this kangaroo court, as he fully said.
Yeah, for not responding to the subpoena.
Did in handing down the indictment, indicts them. They're the ones that are corrupt. The whole system has become corrupted, and we have to send a message in November and kick them out. That's the bottom line. And let me just finish up also by saying I love Mark, and we're of the same mindset. But Mark, the next 5 months, take off the pessimistic thinking. We have a fight to be won. It's very important. And I think the fight can be won in Massachusetts. And the message that sends throughout the country would be immense. We have nearly 60% of the state of Massachusetts that's independent. And you know what? A lot of them just are afraid. So if we speak out and we're strong, they'll follow us. It just takes about 2/3 of that independent, winning those 2/3, and you win. Any Republican candidate can, if they get 2/3 of the independents. And we can do that, especially this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very true, especially in Massachusetts. Hey, against the clock, I can't control that. Ken, thanks for thanks for the call. Folks, we'll be back for the fourth and final segment right after this. Stick with us, 508-871-7000.
Those things we most cherish are all put at risk through the improper disposal of mercury in everyday items. Fluorescent lamps, thermometers, thermostats all contain mercury. Mercury Recovery Program is designed to assist your community in the safe disposal of this heavy metal. For more information about where to dispose of these products, contact your local Board of Health, Department of Public Works, or visit our website at keepmercuryfromrising.org. Working together, we can keep our environment safe.
Attention all contractors. The Massachusetts Mercury Management Act makes it illegal to improperly dispose of old thermostats in the trash. They contain mercury that can be harmful to human health and the environment. Building and HVAC contractors, plumbers, and electricians, please properly dispose of all mercury thermostats. Contact your local health or public works department for information on where to safely dispose of thermostats in your community. Visit online, keepmercuryfromrising.org for details. Brought to you by Win Waste Innovations. Performance for the planet.
Hi, this is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last, heard weekdays 11 to noon right here on WCRN. I'm always interested in learning why retirees choose to work with my firm, Boston Independence Group. So I asked my clients, and they told me two main things. First, I'm not trying to be all things to all people. And second, I'm specialized, focused solely on
I've been trying to do it.
You see, we're distinguished from other
official
financial
way for the
firms,
board, but I think what I'm going to do here
and we do it exceptionally
is
well. We help people live better in retirement.
Way I did
That's
it at the
So if you're close
station.
to retiring or have recently
I'm just going to
retired, we
connect
can do for you
through a
what we've
microphone
done
and
for
headset.
hundreds of other retirees throughout
That little
the world.
box I use.
Live better in retirement. And if you'd like to live better in retirement, give us a call and we'll show you how. My toll-free number is 877-772-1776. Again, that's 877-772-1776. And you can visit us on the web at bostonindependencegroup.com.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know.
All right, folks, welcome back for the fourth and final segment here of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Mike Wade coming up at 7 o'clock for Conservatively Speaking. Peter Blute, 9 o'clock. Jerry Doherty around 9:30, I think. We'll see if he's there. But the point is your Sunday morning talk block.
Should be.
It should be, all right, is intact. So that's great. And Cam, of course, flying the board back at the station. All right, great call so far this morning. And just one more thing on, I wanted to get onto this or make a comment about the gun thing. The Texas Republicans are renewing an interest in arming the teachers. Now, the thing here is it's a federal law violation to go to a school armed. I think what the first step here, folks, is to remove that because the criminal, it pays no attention to it, right? I mean, obviously, this Jamoke down in Texas, you think he headed over to Robb Elementary School and saw the sign and said, oh, darn, that foils all my plans. So it's asinine to have it because if they're going to break the law, they're breaking the law. That's just stupid. But take that out so that you can have the good guys with the guns. Now, I don't think that arming teachers is the way to go. That's not what a teacher signed up for. They didn't sign up to carry a gun and be protector, and they are protectors, right? We know every teacher in these situations we hear about, they've shielded their children with their own bodies. Believe me, they're protectors, but they haven't signed up to be gun-toting protectors. But for those teachers that wish to carry, they should not be stopped. If they feel like they're in danger, and why wouldn't they? And they feel that they want to have the ability to protect themselves, fight back anyway, and by extension, their students, fine. Then you go through the background check, the investigation, then you go through a very stringent training program designed specifically for teachers or staffs in school. And the other part of this is that they never publicize how many teachers are carrying, and certainly not who are, because you want the bad guy with the gun not to know this stuff, because they are mostly cowards and wimps to begin with. So they are looking for the soft target. They're going for the places where they know guns are not allowed, in that they're pretty confident no one's going to be armed, so no one's going to be shooting back. Every mass shooting has shown us that they have specifically picked their targets with the understanding that probably no one's going to be armed, and it's fish in a barrel for them. So any teacher, take that law away. Take that law away. So if you have parents who happen to be people who carry a gun, they can carry on school ground. If there's a teacher or staff person that wishes to, then put in a process for them. But say no teacher or no staff person cares to. You got to harden that school as a target. And that means having a resource officer is what they like to call them now, but an armed police officer. If you were to ask retired police, in police, most police, they retire at a fairly early age. They get 20 years in, and they're in their late 40s, they're in their 50s, and they have their entire career. Retire as a police officer, they have a whole second career ahead of them. And if you were to put together a school force of guards and police officers from retired police officers, retired military, even retired professional security people, again, with the training. And forget the money issue. We've been throwing money around like a drunken sailor. Not to mention there are billions of dollars in the COVID money that is sitting there that hasn't been used, and that can be repurposed. We were sold the bill of goods that they were going to change all the venting systems, right, in all the schools. They're going to do all that. And then they upgrade the schools. And very little, if any of that's even been done. So we have plenty of money also to fortify these schools. And that's having a controlled entrance and exit. And all those fire doors and other doors, the teacher that ran out, and we were misled in the beginning about her propping it and keeping it open. She did run out to the car to get her phone to call 911, but the video shows her slamming that door shut. So it wasn't that teacher, but the point is you can control the entrance and egress for that matter. You can fortify that area. You can stagger the kids coming to school, right? You don't want 5 grades or 6 grades trying to enter one door at one time. So you can have the staggering of coming in, first grade, second grade, 15 minutes apart, whatever the logistics is, you can figure that out. And you have the one-armed resource officer at that point of entry. And once school starts, that's it. There's no other doors in and out. And if you're going outside, it's an organized thing. The gym teacher's taking you out to the field or whatever, and the resource officer can be notified of that. There's ways that can be done. These are conversations. But in the wake of the Uvalde school shooting down in Texas, the Republicans, they're expressing this renewed interest in programs. Some are already in place to arm teachers. And I don't like that term, that vernacular, armed teachers. I like to allow any teacher wishing to be armed to do so. Ken Paxton, who's the AG down there, he's a Republican. He doesn't believe in passing new gun laws will deter criminals. Neither do I, because you don't enforce the ones we have. And it's asinine to talk about enforcing, creating new laws, and you don't even pay attention to the ones that you do, and you don't prosecute certain gun crimes depending on where they're taking place or by who they're taking place by. Okay, so the answer is to make schools a hard target for the killers. He said we can't stop bad people from doing bad things. They're going to violate murder laws. Like I just said, they're criminals. They violate the law. That's their definition. If they don't violate the law, they're going to get a poor employment review, right? They're not going to follow the gun laws. Paxton said, I never understood that argument. Neither do I. I've said it a million times. He went on to say we can potentially arm and prepare and train teachers and other administrators to respond quickly, because the reality is we don't have the resources to have new enforcement law enforcement in every school. That I differ with, because if you have billions of dollars sitting there in COVID money that hasn't been used, you can repurpose that. But I understand what he's saying. That one of the most logical, economical way to do this is to say to anybody who's a staff or teacher, if you feel unsafe and you would like to have personal protection, you're allowed to. Just meet this criteria. That's all. Background check, training, etc. I've been through it already. So Paxton, of course, he was responding to the shooting at the school. And it's a very small rural Texas town and school district. And this gunman was young. And he slipped through a door. I'm still not clear, because that's a whole nother issue, guys, right? All the information initially that came out in the first 48, 72 hours, all of a sudden got reversed, or we were told that isn't really the case. By this past Friday, everything was upside down. Governor Abbott is livid about the situation. So is the director of the public safety there. And then you got the Jamoke down there, Francis Beto O'Rourke, who's interrupting the press conference where the parents of these slain kids are at, making it about him again, demanding action from Republican Greg Abbott. And there will be action from Governor Abbott. I don't know. I do not understand why people even listen to this guy, Beto Francis O'Rourke here. How many things does he run for now? He gets whooped in every one of them. He's a John Kerry wannabe. Yeah, Senator Cruz, also from Texas, said the same thing. Restrictive gun laws won't stop criminals. That's where the breakdown starts, folks, because the conversation has to be about mental health. And a lot of this has to do with what we did to our school children during the pandemic and the lockdowns and the remote learning. We isolated these kids, right? And we've seen that. We've seen some of these young people have latched out. They got radicalized online. They were bored. They're stuck in their homes. They start finding creepy people on the internet and just these out there organizations, right, with very bad intentions and very just bigoted or racist manifests. It's just not a good thing. And we're going to see that. We've got to fix the damage that we did with the lockdown. But this kid in Texas, as in Parkland, right? These are young people, and they haven't been around long enough to have the system notice them. So we have to look for the other red flags. Now, red flag laws can be very good and very dangerous, because a red flag law, like a lot of things, can be weaponized, right? Restraining orders have been weaponized. People have gone to get restraining orders just so that that is on the person's record, just so that it messes up their lives, right? We see things like that happen. We're at the end of the hour here for the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to be joined by Mike Wade, who's going to join us at 7 o'clock for Conservatively Speaking. And we'll take it from there. Peter Blute at 9 o'clock, folks. All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
This is Full Service Radio, AM 830, WCRN, Worcester, Metro West.